What's going on, you guys? Today we're going to be learning the song Dani California by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. This is one of my favorite songs of all time to play on the electric guitar, and I'm so excited to share it with you. Now, one really important thing to mention before we get into it is that this tutorial is going to be covering all of the guitar parts of this song except for the solo. The solo will be covered in a video that I'm going to be uploading next week, and if that is out already, you can check it out. I'll put the link down in the description box, but if it is not, make sure that you subscribe and you hit the bell icon so you're notified when it does come out. Alright, now let's get into it. You are watching Logan's Lessons. Starting with the rhythm part for the verse. The first chord we have is an A minor bar chord. You're going to accomplish that by barring your index finger across the entire 5th fret. You then place your ring finger on the 7th fret of the A string, and your pinky finger right below that on the 7th fret of the D string. It should sound like that. Now, the way you're going to strum that is a root, down strum. The root note being the low E string, like this. Very good. The next chord we have is a G major bar chord, which will be played by first barring the 3rd fret of all of your strings with your index finger. Your 3rd finger is going to go on the 5th fret of the A string, your pinky finger right below that on the 5th fret of your D string, and then your middle finger on the 4th fret of the G string. Same strumming pattern. So far we have. Thirdly, we have a D minor bar chord. To play a D minor bar chord, we are going to place our 1st finger on the 5th fret of the A string. No need to bar this time. Then your 3rd finger is going to go on the 7th fret of the D string. Your pinky right below that on the 7th fret of the G string. And your middle finger on the 6th fret of the B string. Again, same strumming pattern. And then we go back to the A minor chord. So the whole chord progression is A minor, G, D minor, A minor, then it starts way back over on the A minor again. I will demonstrate. Now do that with me. Now inside the verse, we have this funky little lead line that happens twice per verse, and I find it very fun to play. Here's how you do it. You start with your ring finger on the 7th fret of the D string. You pick that downwards, and then with your index finger, you pick the 5th fret of your G string. You hammer that onto the 7th fret of the same string, and pull it back off, like this. And then right there, you pick the 7th fret of the D string again. So far. I'll do that again. Do that with me. Okay, so right there we move down so that our middle finger is on the 5th fret of the D string, which we pick upwards. Then we hammer on from the 4th fret of the G string, using our index finger, to the 5th fret of the G string, pull it back off to the 4th fret, and then just as before, we hit the 5th fret of our D string one last time. The second piece will sound like this. In context, do that with me. Then we hit the 5th fret of the A string with our middle finger. You pick that downwards. Then you travel up and hit these 3 notes. The 8th fret of the B string, to the 6th fret of the B string, this one you pick upwards, to the 7th fret of the G. So, do that with me. And then in context. Do that with me in context. Now, right there, we hit the 7th fret of our D string once more. And then this time we're hammering on from the 3rd fret of our B string to the 5th fret. And then we hit the 5th fret of our G string with our middle finger. Like so. So the whole thing all together will sound like this. Do that with me. Okay, so now let's discuss the discrepancies. The first time it happens in verse 1, we simply play it twice in a row like this. The second time you play it in the first verse, it leads us into the pre-chorus, so it changes what we're playing slightly. We play this funky lead thing through one whole time normally, but then the second time we play this. But then right here we go to a D minor chord, which is the third chord of the verse, and we strum it down, down, up, down, 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 up, twice. So down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, 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 up. And that's the pre-chorus. So that second time we're playing this funky lead line in the verse, it'll sound like this. Do that with me. Now, the second pre-chorus, however, lasts twice as long, and we're going from that D minor chord I showed you to an E major. To play an E major, you're going to place your first finger on the 7th fret of the A string, and then you're going to bar your ring finger across the 9th fret of the D, G, and B strings. Same strumming pattern, though. Now let's talk about the chorus. We will start with an F power chord. Allow me to show you the shape of the power chord because it's the only shape we use for the chorus, and it's modular, meaning you can move it around. You will place your first finger, in the case of the F power chord, on the 1st fret of your low E string. Then on the string right below your index finger, which in this case is the A string, we place our ring finger 2 frets over, in this case the 3rd fret of the A string. So it's down a string and over 2 frets. Then, this is optional but beneficial in my opinion, you can also place your pinky finger right below your 3rd finger. In the case of the F power chord, that's on the 3rd fret of the D string. So that is the shape and the first chord. You strum the first chord downwards twice. We then move so that our first finger is on the 3rd fret of the A string, same chord shape. This one is going to be strummed down, down, then you pause and you do one more down. So, and that final down is going to be a slide up to the 5th fret. So, the 5th fret we strum downwards twice, and then up once. In context. Do that with me. Very good. We then hit the 3rd fret of our low E string down twice. So the whole thing will sound like this. Do that with me. Very good. So you do that 4 times for the chorus, but the 4th time it changes slightly. When we slide up to the 5th fret, the strumming pattern changes. So we have the same slide up, down, down, up, but right there we tack on this little extra thing. It'll be. So it's a slide up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And then we go back to the 3rd fret and just do it down there. So that last time will sound like this. Do that with me. Now in further context. Do that with me. good. Now the whole chorus will sound like this. So that's the chorus. Right after the first chorus, we have this little solo section, and it happens only after the first chorus. This section just consists of unison bends, starting with our ring finger on the 15th fret of the G string, and our index finger on the 13th fret of the B. We leave our first finger in position and bend our ring finger, the G string, up until the G string note matches that of the B string. Like that. You hear that? That's a unison bend. In the case of this solo, however, we're going to want to emphasize the space leading up to the actual unison, meaning exaggerating the bend and dragging out that space in between notes, making for another dissonant and raunchy kind of sound. So basically, just bend slowly. So you start with that one, then you simply move both fingers down a fret closer to your headstock. So your ring finger is on the 14th fret of the G string, and your index finger is on the 12th fret of the B string. Same deal there. Then we move up and do that same thing, this time with our ring finger on the 17th fret of the G string, and our index finger on the 15th fret of the B string. And then our fourth bend is going to be with our ring finger on the 15th fret of the B, and our index finger on the 12th of the high E. So that one changes slightly. So that whole thing, that first half of the solo will sound like this. Then the second half is very similar, where actually the first three unison bends are the exact same. But then right here we move down so that our third finger is on the 12th fret of the G string, and your index finger is on the 10th of the B. Like that. So the second half will sound like this. The whole thing being... Then we get into a second verse, a second pre-chorus, and a second chorus, all of which are the exact same as their previous counterparts, but that second chorus drops us into a bridge. The bridge starts on a B minor chord. You will bar your index finger across all of the strings on the 7th fret, then you will place your ring finger on the 9th fret of the A string, and your pinky finger right below that on the 9th fret of your D string. Same strumming pattern in this part as the verse. Root, root, down strum. The second chord we have, we're actually going to take our pinky finger off, and our first finger can move down so that it's not barring the low E or A string. But moving that first finger is optional. We're going to hit the A string downwards twice, and then a down strum. So far. Do that with me. Very good. The third chord is a C-shaped G major chord. You play that by placing your pinky finger on the 10th fret of your A string, your ring finger on the 9th fret of the D, your index finger on the 7th fret of your G string, and lastly, your middle finger on the 8th fret of the B string. Same root, root, down strum. But right after that, we have this little thing, which is the 9th fret of the G string with your ring finger. Pick that downwards, to the 7th fret, index finger this time, also picked downwards, and then you bar across the 7th fret of the D, G, and B strings with your index finger, and you strum that upwards. Do that with me. Now in context. Do that with me. So that happens 3 times, but the 4th time ends differently. The 4th time, you do the same first 3 chords, but then you have this little piece. which will be accomplished by sliding from the 5th fret to the 7th fret of your low E string with your ring finger. You then hit the 5th fret of your A string with your index, to the 7th fret of the A string with your ring finger, and then the last note is the 5th fret of the low E string with your index. Do that with me. Now here is the entire bridge. And that drops you into another verse, and then a pre-chorus, and then a chorus, and then we get into the solo. But as I mentioned, I'm going to be teaching the solo in a separate video, which you can check out up here. I'll link it up here. Now, that, my friends, is how you play Dani California. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. I'll link it down below. If you wish to be notified of future videos, hit the bell. I sincerely hope that you are well. Please do me a favor and hit that like button blue. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe too. I hope this video has been a blessing. You've been watching Logan's Lessons.